Hey, so the golden template activating in our human blueprints, this full moon lunar eclipse, is the golden rainbow lotus flower. We'll talk about what that means in a minute. And the dimension that this is activating in is a body consciousness field of dimension. This means there's a homecoming, a rebirthing into oneness as a vibratory state of being, and that this is what's being supported this full moon lunar eclipse. Now, for a lot of us, that could mean that we're having quite strong physical symptoms, that we are being asked to slow down, and many of us are finding that we're exhausted and that there is no choice but to give in and to rest. For others of us, there is a reset in, shall we say, putting our best foot forward. And we may find that how we physically move is being affected. Now, where I am, there's an abundance of foot and leg injuries in the vicinity at the moment that have been kind of gathering over the beginning of this year and over the last lunar cycle have really intensified. But whatever it is and whatever your experience, we're all individual and unique with this. It's temporary. It's a reset that's making this happening now, and the reason for it is that as we walk the earth, we re-imprint the frequency and the pattern with which we are walking the planet. So this is not just about staying slow, but it's about slowing down enough right now for this gateway to allow for this resetting, for this rebirthing, and for this re-imprinting the energy that we move with when we walk the earth, or when we drive our cars through the earth, or when we go to work, in our workplaces in the earth. Now, this affects the frequency in the dimension where Gaia is also one with human consciousness. And our planet is in her own ascension process. And she is calling us home. So she's calling us to change how we're re-imprinting our footsteps on the earth. She's calling us home, but she's calling us home in a way that we are held safely and lovingly within her, while both humanity and Gaia go through their accelerated upshift in ascension, their quickening phases of ascension that are happening now. We are ascending with Gaia as Gaia, and so it's important right now that we allow ourselves to rest and to slow down, if that's what we're called to do, and to trust that it'll be no time at all before we are ready to accelerate. Now, this is important. This is what comes after the gateway. We want to know that when we accelerate, we do so in the right direction, that the shot arrow is fired in the direction towards the goals that align us with our dreams, that come from the resonance of the truth of who we are collectively. This is a groundbreaking moment right now. We're at the moment where the old is dissolving, the new is not yet in place. And there's only one place to be in a moment like this. There's only one place to be when the old is dissolving, the new is not in place, and that is in center, in our center. When we're in the still point, in our center, everything around us can be in chaos, and we are not caught in the crumbling structures of the old. We are not floundering and lost because we don't know how to be with the new. We can't see the road before us. We are not overwhelmed with the responsibility of trying to make plans when we cannot predict the future, when we don't know what our resources are going to be. When we're in our center, we are connected to divine guidance, intuition, and inspiration. The innovation can reach us that comes from way beyond anything we've ever known before. We are being guided in the moment in our movements and in our actions. This is important because we are about to accelerate on the other side of this lunar gateway. And we're being guided to act in a way that's more expansive, more vaster, daring, more grander, in a way, in fact, that aligns us with our dreams. When we are, all this time we've been telling ourselves now, yes, to dream big. Dream big. Well, this is the moment. And dreaming big and acting big to help ourselves be with the energies right now. This is how we can work with the energy. We can spend some time right now and each morning in meditation. However we do this, however our way of coming home to center, home to our still point, and we can breathe in the infinite, unconditional love from within. Allowing that infinite, unconditional gratitude to arise in response. And being honest, when gratitude is not what arises, being honest and authentic and honouring our emotions as they show up in the moment, we can surrender to that stillness, to our centre, and to the rest when we're called to rest. However we come home to centre, we surrender to being in the centre, in the stillness, and letting go for those moments. Now when we do that, what I would say next is we can bring attention to how the body feels on the inside, dropping all the way in, being with how our toes feel on the inside, how our feet feel on the inside, how our legs and calves and thighs and buttocks, how our core and our organs feel on the inside, all the way up the body. So we can be with how we feel within, not naming it, not fixing it, not fearing it, but being in our centre, in the stillness, and exploring the isness of the body in the moment, and being that field of listening love, of compassionate awareness, visiting those places in our body where attention is called now, and rather than fearing anything uncomfortable that we might find, being that loving, compassionate listener, allowing, surrendering and accepting, inviting our body to tell us its story, whether that's somewhere in the organs or our muscles. Now this can mean sitting with uncomfortable sensations, and other times it can mean sitting with uncomfortable emotions which are going to be connected to those sensations and the trauma that wants to come home. It's been locked in there. But whatever it is, in this full moon lunar gateway, the body is releasing some of its old story, and it's calling us to be even more deeply embodied and in presence. And that means being present in the body even more deeply than we already are. And allowing what is, as though we're kind of listening and gathering what's going on in our body. We're gathering what's going on in the body, and we're surrendering it to the infinite, to infinite love. And when we do that, we make a shift. The body shifts some of its dependencies, some of its chemical dependencies. So what maintains it in a state of equilibrium, quite often where we're used to reaching outside, especially for sweetness, for ma, something of ma. And what we would reach outwards for, we make a little space, even if it's just in a few moments of meditation, for what we were reaching outwards from, for that reaching to turn and reach inwards, for something the body's been calling for all this time, to reach inwards. And the reason there's a rest period now is because guess what? On the other side of this gateway, there's an acceleration coming.